Not many people know this, but in the 1990s, there was a conspiracy theorist with a public access show where he ranted about crazy crackpot theories every single day, and nobody took him seriously. But then after he died, it turned out he was right about everything. In the late 80s and throughout the 1990s, there was a man named Clay Tiffany who had a public access TV show called Dirge of the Charlatans, where he would sit for hours on end and just rant and ramble about all kinds of conspiracy theories about elite government corruption within the city. He would talk about judges laundering money through nonprofits and NYPD officers falsifying crimes to throw people in jail, and members of the NYPD acting as roving gangs and enforcers for the mob. But then something happened to Clay Tiffany. In March of 1997, he was pulled over by an NYPD officer named Nick Tartaglione, who said that he had seen Clay Tiffany's show and wanted him to stop talking about the NYPD, and that he was connected to the mob, and if he didn't shut up, he would have him taken care of. Or at least this is what Tiffany claimed the following day on his show, where he talked about the incident. And as Clay Tiffany claims, the next day after this broadcast, Nick Tartaglione showed up at his house, threw him against his police cruiser, arrested him, and brought him in on some made-up disturbing the peace charge. But Clay Tiffany was not going to be bullied, and he would not give up. So the next several years on his show, he did a full investigation of Nick Tartaglione, sending in a bunch of requests with the Freedom of Information Act to the government to get documents about him. And he dug up a ton of dirt, like multiple police brutality reports, a bunch of excessive force complaints, and unexplained departures from dozens of his previous police jobs. And in response, Clay Tiffany claims that he was attacked and brutalized by Nick Tartaglione and his cop buddies multiple times throughout those years. The first incident, he was attacked outside of his home again. The second incident, he was thrown to the pavement and beaten outside of a town meeting. And the third incident, he was beaten so badly that he was hospitalized for weeks. Tiffany ended up suing Nick Tartaglione. He didn't win, but there was an undisclosed sum settled out of court. But more importantly, he had lost any credibility that he ever possibly had because of these repeat accusations of Nick Tartaglione, and people started actively calling for his public access show to end. So in the early 2000s, that's exactly what happened. The show ended and Clay Tiffany disappeared from public life. And in 2015, he died from heart failure. But in 2016, Nick Tartaglione was arrested for the execution-style murder of 4 men in a drug trafficking job gone wrong. Clay Tiffany was right. Nick Tartaglione was mob connected, he was corrupt, and him and his buddies were running as enforcers for the mob within the NYPD. And what's even crazier is that Nick Tartaglione was at one point Jeffrey Epstein's cellmate and the last person to ever see him alive that we know of. And real quick, if you like my videos and you want to see more in-depth writing from me about pop culture, movies, TV, video games, weird historical facts, so on and so forth, you can do that here.